We know your home appliances are essential, and if you need a new one, you need it fast. Many products are in short supply due to COVID, but we're member owners of a huge regional appliance warehouse right here in New England, so we can often get the appliances you need quickly and deliver them faster than our competition. If products are out of stock, our knowledgeable team will recommend the best plan for you. Plus, we have expert delivery and installation. You won't find that in a national chain. Did you know your local appliance retailer is the best place to buy your new KitchenAid suite? Click here to find the dealer closest to you.
Hi, thank you everybody for coming to our webinar again, sponsored by KitchenAid. Today we will be talking about kitchens, this time getting the most efficiency out of your space, using the space to the best of its abilities. We have 3 local kitchen experts here to guide us and show us a bunch of projects that did indeed deal with small spaces. Before we get started, I just want to pass this over to someone from KitchenAid so she can tell you all about their amazing products. Go ahead.
Good morning, everybody, and thanks for joining. My name is Maggie Woodall, and I am a sales manager at Whirlpool Corporation, which KitchenAid is a part of. And just really wanted to thank everybody for hopping on, as well as our 3 designers. I'm super excited to gather some insights. I know I could use some help in maximizing the space in my kitchen. But I'm even more excited that we are partnering with the New England Appliance Group as well as the Boston Globe to put this session on for everybody today. I would just encourage everybody, once we're done with this session here, to check out Whirlpool Corporation's portfolio of products that includes KitchenAid, Whirlpool, and Maytag. And at your nearest New England independent retail dealer to best suit your needs, utilizing any of the stuff that we hear today. So thank you again. I'm really excited, and I will pass it right back over to Marnie.
Great. Thank you, Maggie. So our first guest today is Kristin Genitasio. Kristin is one half. Hi, Kristin.
Hi, Marnie.
Kristin is one half of the small architecture firm Atelier et Alia. She and her partner, Christina Marsh, received their architecture degrees from Harvard's Grad School of Design. They create contemporary user-friendly environments through collaboration, creativity, and fun. It really is a distinctive approach that I've noticed and really appreciated when I've spoken with them for projects, which is why I asked them to participate. So we have Kristin here today. Of course, their work has been featured in Boston Globe magazine. So hello, thank you.
Hi, Marnie. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm really excited to be here today. It's a topic that is sort of something that we work with all the time, sort of trying to find space where there seems to be no space to be had. And particularly now, since the pandemic, construction costs have really been going up. And the more we can do without building an addition and incurring those additional costs, the better in the end.
Well, I think everybody appreciates that, because also you have to wait a really long time, even if you have the money.
Exactly, exactly.
Let's get started with the first project. Each designer will have 3 projects that we'll look at. So let's look at the first one,
Sure.
Which was on the cover of Globe magazine. And one of the things I love, Kristin, about this project and other ones that your studio has done is that it's not just about the kitchen proper, that you sort of find these kitchen spaces that sort of bleed out from the main space. And I think that you do that here, but I'll let you sort of start off with what the challenges were and how you approached it.
Sure. Thank you, Marnie. This first project that we're going to talk about is for a 1959 slab ranch. And the homeowners were living in this home for quite some time, and they did a previous renovation. So let me see if I can get my pointer here so what was currently the living room was previously a garage. And in this previous renovation, they added a garage here. and transformed this space into additional living space. Their goal for the renovation that we worked with them on was to create a very modern, open plan living space between the kitchen, living, and dining room. But the existing kitchen, which was about 10 foot by 12 foot, had sort of a large brick fireplace in this location, as well as what was originally a 3/4 height brick wall here, separating the kitchen space from the dining and living spaces. There was also a breakfast space to the right of the kitchen here that wasn't really being utilized as a breakfast space because they also had this new dining space that they were using. So it did seem a little redundant for this family. So
it's a family of 3, right?
It's a family of 3, yes. But for them, they really just didn't need that breakfast function. So this was a moment where we could take this opportunity to expand this kitchen to the right of this plan and absorb that breakfast area. So in the after plan at the bottom of the page, you can see that we did expand the kitchen and added walk-in pantry space here, complete with an L-shaped counter, a beverage station, as well as access out to the yard here. There's a new patio and a barbecue area out there as well.
And tell me about the, also while we're sort of on that space, that other side of the pantry, where you put the bookshelves.
Sure. In adding this pantry space, we recognized that we were expanding on the hallway space that was previously open at that end. So we wanted to sort of give back to that hallway by opening it up a little bit. What we did is push back that pantry wall here so we can add a full height open bookcase. It sort of provides a destination space within that hallway. So it's not just extending the hallway as a pass-through space. We also
got that nice big island. Now, did that stay about this? So they didn't, okay, it was a fireplace before with a peninsula.
Yes, and we demolished the fireplace, which I know can be quite controversial, but for this family, costly. But for this family, it really wasn't a priority to maintain the fireplace. They weren't using it, so they were fine with letting it go because they prioritized really opening up the space. So what we ended up with was a quite large island. It's about 14.5 feet long, and there's a zone for cooking on that island. But on the side that faces the dining, there's sort of a zone for seating. But there's also, we added, and you'll see in a later slide that we're added some cabinets that serve as sort of a sideboard to the dining space as well.
Let's take a quick look at the slides for this project before, or the photos for the project before moving to the next.
Let me just clear those. Okay. Sure. So this is a view, you can see the before view in the top left of the original kitchen, looking in the same direction as the after photo. And you can see where we added the pantry beyond. A walk-in pantry is a great addition for an open plan layout because it's a place where you can store all of the sort of countertop small appliances in that space so that the kitchens in the open floor plan can remain sort of very tidy and clear of clutter.
And did we have another picture of this kitchen? Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So you can see in the bottom left photo that island where we offset the seating from the cooktop that's in that island. And we also provided cabinets that service the dining area, and they act more like a sideboard for that. You can see in the bottom right photo the new open shelving that we added to that corridor, and it sort of wraps the wall of that pantry with a surface that we created of that's a full height wet erase board and magnetic board that sort of replaces the refrigerator function that you see in a lot of households. It's a place where you post notices, photographs, artwork, and whatnot.
Much more chic.
Yeah. And you can see in the photo on the left that their refrigerator was clad with the same cabinet material, so it was not magnetic. So this was sort of replacing that function for this family.
Right. So this is a great, it looks better, and you have the ergonomic wall ovens, all the bookshelf storage, nice big island. Great. What is next?
Yeah. Okay. So next, for this project, it's an example of simply just moving a few select doorways, and it sort of freed up a lot of space that we could use and give back to the kitchen.
And so this is a condo in a big old house in JP, correct?
It is, yeah. And it's the first floor unit in a 3-story, 3-unit building. The homeowners were downsizing from a much larger home. So the existing kitchen that you can see here on the left, it just wasn't large enough to serve their needs. And so we were tasked with finding more space for more storage in this kitchen. And because it was in a condo, we really were stuck with keeping the utilities where they were. We couldn't really move where the stove and the sink were. So we kept those as existing conditions to work with. So we focused really on the inefficiencies that we saw in this area of the floor plan. But by relocating the door to the powder room around the corner, so it's off of the main hallway, we were able to free up all of the space here along that wall.
It's really amazing how that can work.
Mm-hmm. Right, it's just a one simple move, and we were able to gain floor to ceiling cabinetry along this wall. We were also able to conceal a second refrigerator within this bank of cabinetry here.
Let's see pictures.
Sure. So here you can see the before on the left and then the after on the right, and you get a glimpse of that.
So you gave them a huge amount of storage in all that cabinetry there.
Yes, yep, a lot of storage. And if you go to the next slide, you can see that we included an elevational drawing of that storage, so you can get a breakdown of what exactly is in there. And it's not just adding the real estate. Inside those cabinets, there are ways to better organize the storage as well. So you can kind of see through in this drawing, on the bottom section of these tall pantry cabinets, there are pull-out shelves. On the top section, there are adjustable shelves. This is where the refrigerator is, sort of embedded behind the same cabinetry. So sort of concealed in there.
And then you have the server on the other side in the white that services the dining room.
Yes,
yes. I mean, why not make use of the hallway, right?
Absolutely, yep. And you can also see in this image beyond, there was an extra wide hallway in the condo where we lined that with additional storage.
Great. So maybe we should move on to the next project, sure. Yeah. Even though we could talk about these all day, as we do.
This next project is an example of how you can just remove some walls, and it has a very dramatic impact on how you perceive the space. By removing the walls in this project, the space feels so much larger, even though we're not adding on. This house is an 1880 house that, similar to many houses of this era, the floor plan was very compartmentalized. The rooms were very distinct and separate from each other. And to add to it, there were 2 chimneys that you can see in this existing floor plan that were no longer being used. But
You're
they
a chimney destroyer.
I'm sorry?
You're a chimney destroyer.
Yes, we are. There does seem to be a theme there, yes. However, these also weren't being used, and they were taking up a lot of space that we saw as wasted space. So,
well, let's see the result. So you took all that away.
We took all this away, and although this project is currently under construction, I did include the renderings to show what it will look like after construction.
Like a whole different place.
It's a whole different place. Just by removing this wall here in the top left photo. It really opens up the space and better serves the lifestyle of the homeowners today. In addition to expanding this space horizontally, it also got expanded vertically. If you noticed in the previous photos, the kitchen had soffits that were built down from the ceiling that give the illusion of a much lower ceiling than it is. And these ceilings are 9 foot high. So we took advantage of that and built these cabinets all the way up to the ceiling.
Right, definite pet peeve, builder grade cabinets that stop way before they need to.
Right, exactly. So this gives much more storage.
Yeah,
capacity.
and streamlined.
And streamlined.
Any other parting notes on this project?
Well, there's just a few other slides that I've included just to see different views of the same project. But it really opening up those views through the house gives you a sense of a much larger space.
Right.
Yep.
And that island's not huge, but you get a little bit of depth to it. So there's still an expanse. Yes,
the island is a square. So there's cabinetry that opens up to every surface. And it's a great prep space.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kristin. I really could talk for hours with you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So our next guest is Risa Gray. She is a partner at Honeycomb Design and Build with a wide range of experience in residential, commercial, hospitality design and construction. I worked with Risa for the first time really recently this past fall, and her project landed on, or Risa, you can come on. Oh, you are on, sorry. Hi, sorry, I was like covering you up with my notes. But we worked together for the first time and your project landed on the cover of Globe magazine. And I was really struck by how well you understood your clients' needs and their lifestyle and their sort of dreams and desires, and how important it was for you to make that kitchen so wonderful, which you did. So let's dive in.
Right.
There's the kitchen. Well, there's the pantry, at least on the cover there. Why don't you give us a quick overview of their problem?
Okay, well, they had a lot of problems in this kitchen. So the biggest one was that they love to cook and entertain, and this kitchen was just so closed off physically from the rest of the space, from the dining area, and it felt really confining. It was the finishes were really dated. They had limited counter space, lack of cabinetry. The drawers on the cabinetry were poorly functioning. There were old wooden slides that stuck when they pulled them open. So really uncomfortable to use. The refrigerator, let's see if I can annotate here. The refrigerator was blocking the circulation when it was open from the mudroom and pantry area. And it was really uncomfortable for more than one of them to work in at a time. And they love to work together in the kitchen. So they like to perform basically a kitchen dance, you know, when they're making their meals. And lastly, the lighting was terrible too. It was,
let's take a look at the photos so we can really appreciate this. It was a galley kitchen, though it had an end, right? It was a sort of a pass through.
Yeah. Small doorway.
But unimpressive.
Yes. I think the next slide shows a view from the other way too. So there we go. So yeah, very closed off from the space, really just so separate from their guests, from the rest of the family. They're a family of 4. They love to spend time together. They're a great family. They have a great dynamic, and they just couldn't spend the time together in the kitchen where they really wanted to be.
And so you also worked some powder room magic.
Yes.
In this space.
Yes, we can see it on the plan, the first slide.
Go back to the first slide. There we go.
So down here, over here, they had a bathroom around the corner, and this was the kind of an opposite solution from Kristin's. We relocated the door so we could gain some space for over here, and I'll bring down here, for the relocated refrigerator, a little coffee station. And we also were chimney destroyers on this project. There was an abandoned chimney here that was no longer needed. So we were able to remove that and gain that space as well.
And then you just sort of cleared it out and gave them some really beautiful, a little bit of a peninsula there at the end that they could spend time in, sitting at, and just some beautiful cabinets. And
Yeah,
then amazing pantry that we see. You can go to the next slide so we can see their pictures again. Or no, go back one. There, you can give a quick little bit about sort of the choices that you made there.
Sure. And you can see removing that wall really opened up the space so they could really, have a connection, a visual connection, a physical connection. So we put in some dark cabinetry, and in order to feel it, keep it from feeling too heavy overhead, we added some panel inserts in the uppers, some perforated metal, decorative perforated metal. We included some open shelving in the mix. I know open shelving is kind of a, it's a personal decision. but instead of having closed cabinets at the peninsula, the open shelving keeps it feeling airy and open and not, in your face when you're sitting there at the peninsula. And also gives them an opportunity for some personal items too. So to put some, some pieces of interest and their personality into the space.
And then let's see that pantry again. You can go to the next slide. And so this space, you relocated the laundry and just made this amazing wall of workspace and storage. I know that she sometimes bakes, right?
Yes, a lot of baking happens in this space. Yeah, it's a pretty simple solution. It's not very highly detailed or complicated. It's just beautiful, big, expansive shelving that really serves a great purpose for them, for display, for storage, work counter. Really big, gives them a much bigger kitchen than they had before because it's an extension of it.
All right, let's look at the next project.
Okay.
So this is Brookline. Is this a condo in an old house? Or?
It's a condo in a building in a high rise.
Okay.
So, yeah. So we kept the gas in place as Kristin did in her project too. But the big issues in this one, where it was dark, even though it had a pass through. Can you see my cursor on the screen?
I do not.
Okay, so I'll use my drawing tool. So there's a pass through here. So even with that pass through, there's a large window in the living area. Even with a pass through, it didn't really give it enough light. There was a really small entrance off the main door.
Stuck in the corner there. It's like
it's just jammed in there. It was so uncomfortable to be in. It very tight for two people again. Limited counter space. The sink was very small. The cabinets were older, 1990s era, with really small doors and really constraining frames. So you try to get stuff in there and it gets stuck on the stile. So
you brought the island sort of into the dining space, because in reality, that's a pretty big dining space. You don't need that much circulation around the table. You still have plenty, and then you can sort of mush the spaces together.
Exactly. Yeah. Just by removing that wall, you expand the kitchen and you expand the dining because they become one space together. So you can, you steal a little from the dining area, but it doesn't really feel like you've made it smaller because of the open feeling created.
Let's see the photos.
Okay. All right, let me clear my marks there. All right. So it already feels like it has a higher ceiling, even though it's a lower ceiling in this building. So, but yeah, it was this pass through. Here we are. This did really nothing for the light level in that kitchen.
And then they didn't lose the entry because you added, just in an open plan, you added sort of a little mudroom off to the side on the right. So they still have everything. It's just open concept now instead of squished and shoved.
Yeah, the space off where the mudroom and the pantry were so underutilized. It was just a big open area that they had thrown boxes and shoes in for storage, but it just really needed to be more, and it's so much better and bigger now. They have what they need and more there.
Great. Did you have another picture of this one?
Yeah, there are two more pictures, I think. So here's another view of the light that we get from the living room windows. So it really brightens everything up and makes it such a much more pleasant experience to be using that kitchen.
Yeah.
Okay, so here on the left is where that the mud area and the pantry were built. In this open space just wasn't doing much for them. And then we had an electrical panel to contend with, so we put a decorative or swinging door over it that looks just like a decorative panel with hooks, but it conceals the electrical panel. So
I mean, custom cabinetry can be expensive, but it's really like if you're going to do something, it's that bang for your buck, as they say.
Definitely, it helps them keep more organized too, with all the the organization behind the doors.
All right. We have a third project.
Yes.
All right. So this is a home in Malden.
Yes. So.
And I can see, looking at the floor plans, that it was quite bizarrely laid out there with that very strange peninsula jutting diagonally across the space.
We had some interesting words for the peninsula. Yes.
Like the most inconvenient configuration. Definitely.
Now, this one was so bad to work in because it had laundry units in the kitchen, which took up a lot of space. Let me draw this over here. These are the laundry units. This peninsula created a huge pinch point between the two sides, and there was a lack of lower cabinetry. There was a radiator, an in-wall radiator in this wall, so there couldn't be any cabinetry in there. To get to the cabinetry back here, it was just a miserable experience. The dishwasher is perpendicular to the sink, so it's really hard to load it from the sink comfortably. Yeah, just not a really uncomfortable kitchen. Oh, the refrigerator, you can see, protrudes into the doorway. So definitely not laid out for people who use a kitchen.
And right, so we opened that up, got the coveted center island. Let's see it.
Okay. It's clear.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, at the soffit above too, I didn't mention that. So there was a soffit there because on the opposite side is on the next slide, you can see there was a range that used the soffit as the exhaust path, but it really wasn't needed around the rest of the room. So in moving the range to the exterior wall, we were able to remove the soffit and gain that height for cabinetry.
And you just vented out the back wall.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, the dining room was also a little bigger than the family needed. So we were able to, extend into that space a bit with the cabinetry. So we only maybe extended about a foot or so into the dining room, but it made a huge difference once that wall was gone, and also being able to get closer to the ceiling with the cabinets really made it so much better.
Great. Did you have another picture?
Yes. So this is, we also moved the window that you see in the before view just to get a better layout for the cabinetry and to get the range on the other side. And when we did that, it became the two windows perpendicular to each other became a little feature cornered because there are no homes outside of these windows. So it looks right into the Fells Preserve. So it's a great view. It feels like they're in the woods when they're in there.
It's lovely and nice and cheerful.
Yeah. And then again, a combination of open shelving and closed cabinetry. The open shelves on this end keep that window because the windows are in the corner, it keeps them from feeling kind of boxed in and keeps the end wall airy so that you can enjoy it and it feels light.
Wonderful. Thank you, Risa,
You're welcome.
For that quick run through of things. Let's move on to Diane. And Diane also has 3 projects. Hi, Diane.
Hi.
Diane Birch is an interior designer with a certificate in kitchen and bath design. She is drawn to clean, simple lines and natural materials, mid-century modern Scandinavian styles, which make for really fun kitchens. She's won industry awards and been featured in publications. My favorite piece of her work was something that was in Globe magazine of the teeny tiny Cambridge kitchen that like I find myself actually coveting, even though it's like just so tiny. So let's
Yeah.
jump in and see what
Thanks,
you
Marnie.
brought us. There it is.
Yes, this is my mini marvel. This is a shared condo space. This is the first floor of a condo building in Cambridge. The owner is a lovely woman who loves to bake, and she had previously had the rest of her small one-bedroom condo decorated. So you can see she loves color. And this is the kitchen hadn't been done, so she was wanting to integrate the kitchen and make it more efficient. If we could go to the first.
She did everything else and then just
She had
wait.
done everything else, yeah. So I could definitely, you could see she loves colors, oranges and greens and blues. But one of the issues, excuse me, this first one, you can see that when she would look in from her lovely decorated space, she would have a great view of the
old range.
The range is right here in the
Untitled.
middle. I'm probably doing this wrong. Let's see. I want to do, let's see, how do I do this? I want to draw right. So yeah, so she would have this is her range right there. So you can see this is her lovely banquette with her decorated fabric that she loved, but she was looking right onto the range. And as you can see, it would definitely, this was a traffic area. And because it was a condo, she needed to maintain the store here. The refrigerator just sat in the middle of the room, or, it wasn't closed in. It had this awkward little point here. And then the window was quite large, but the kitchen was, the colors, it was still dark and dreary and very claustrophobic. The countertops were reddish orange, the cabinetry was dark. And obviously the main cabinetry and counter space is being blocked by this freestanding range.
All right, so you got in there.
We got in there. Yes, this was the, oh, can I get rid of this? Okay, clear. Okay, so one of the things we did, it seems
You made the window smaller in here, right?
we actually did, yeah. It
Great.
seems counterintuitive to do so, excuse me. But we actually made it smaller, and by lightening up, sorry.
Right, it makes it smaller, but then you sort of get this enormous expanse of wall with the sink,
Yes.
the cabinet.
Yeah, she had a large sink, but she really didn't need that size of sink. So we went ahead and made the window smaller. And by integrating this wall, we did a beautiful textured tile. The color is still white. We painted the walls white. We did a white cabinet. It sort of integrates this space. So this whole wall plane is white, and it lets in a lot more light. The other thing we did is, obviously, we found some permanent storage for the pots and pans in front of, they were previously in front of the window. So we were able to find some permanent storage. We used an induction cooktop, and we separated the oven from the cooktop. So below the induction cooktop, we were able to store these pots and pans. And another thing too that we were able to do, because it's 58 square feet, because it is such a small kitchen, we used smaller than standard appliances. So for example, this induction cooktop is 24 inches. The oven is 27 inches wide. She loves to bake. So one of the things that we did is we made sure that her sheet pans, which are handy here on the pegboard, would fit properly into her 27-inch oven.
I love the pegboard. I mean, it's so super cute. And I also love that. Tell us about the little shelf that comes up when needed.
Oh, because we had to maintain the store for egress, it had to stay. And then we put the cooktop here, but obviously because of the width there, we had a 24-inch refrigerator freezer, and even with the 24-inch cooktop, we still didn't have room for a lot of counter space. So we actually did a flip-up table. She can raise this when she needs the extra counter space. And then when she doesn't need it anymore and needs to access the door, she just pops it down.
And you even talked, I forgot if she had a cat or a dog with the dishes down there.
She has a cat, so we used a custom laminate cat dish to raise it up off the floor.
So, I mean,
And
this
then
is,
the upper,
no, I was to say such a unique way of, and it also sort of, you keep the brick, but it's not overwhelming the space. And
right, we kept the brick, sorry. We kept the brick, and then over here for the backsplash, we used a piece of clear plexiglass, so she could still enjoy the look of the brick, but it would stay clean.
Great.
And then up here, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead and give me one last point on this one and we'll move to the next.
Well, this was a good place to add color too. She loves orange and green. So we have an orange and green light fixture above the pegboard at the sink, which is where she keeps her utensils and cutlery. And then this is her orange cat dish. And then up here, you can't see it. In the first picture, you can see it, but this was the color green. It was a very bright apple green. So we were able to take the colors and the decor that she used elsewhere in the condo and integrate it into the kitchen.
Wonderful. Okay, what's project number 2?
It is also a green kitchen. Right.
So this one was in Boston Globe, though I did not write about it. So enlighten all of us here. This looks like
this is a brick row house in the Roxbury neighborhood. And belongs to a family of 3. It's a single family row house at 3 floors plus the basement. So you can see when they purchased the home, it's open to the space here, but there is a step down here. The original kitchen was this small little spot here, and there wasn't room for more than one person within the kitchen area, within the task area. We also had this beam. You can see the beam. And so we had this post, a structural post here, which fortunately we were able to move. And then almost similar to Risa's, we have a cantilever or an angled countertop here, which is one thing one of the homeowners wanted, because this is defined as the kitchen and more casual eating area. And this is, the family TV viewing area. And this is the sort of the living and more formal dining area, although they had used this more for office space and seating. So they wanted to, when they were working at the sink, they didn't want to be closed off like this kitchen was. So we actually angled the counter a bit so they could look out onto the open space.
And that works well for them.
It worked well for them, yeah. And they also wanted to add casual seating here.
Let's see. Do you want to go to the next slide and look at the photos?
Sure. Yeah. So this is the before. You can see here our post runs right through what was a peninsula, but there wasn't seating there. And the space between the peninsula and the task areas was not even great enough for 2 people to be in the space at the same time. And these are people who love to cook.
And so this new one then is right. I can see you pushed it out. So you
pushed it out. Yeah, we angled it a bit so that they could look out onto the rest of the space. But still, because it is an open floor plan, we didn't want to see the clutter at the sink that collects. So we did this maple piece that sort of hides the clutter that can collect at the sink.
Smart.
And then they love the industrial look, and you can see they love artwork. These are art loving people, love the bright color. So this is a glossy oregano colored paint. And if you look at the next picture, you can see some of the artwork here. So you can see this valuable real estate was unused previously. And one of the things we did as a cost saving measure, we reused this railing, but previously this step was inset to this wall, but we pulled it out a little bit. So now it's even across here.
So that looks like a little bench, but that's actually the step to get up.
This is actually a step. So before, the step was inset in this space here, but now we've made it even across here. And by doing that, we needed a little more space at this casual dining area. So we pulled this out the same amount. We were able to sneak in some drawers here accessible to the living area. But because this is the same size, we were able to use this railing again. So that was
Right.
didn't require purchasing a new custom-made metal rail.
Always up for reuse. All right.
Exactly. And then we were able to add a pantry cabinet here. The refrigerator is back to the rest of the house, so you don't see it. We also have in this corner, we have an appliance garage that holds the coffee maker, the toaster, the microwave, and things like that.
So they
Because
gained
this-
lots of seating, a little bit more
Lots of seating.
areas, and more workspace.
Yes, more workspace. They have this long stainless steel table. We were able to do an attached banquette seat. Easy care. This is actually a vinyl that looks like leather, textured leather. And there's some sliding cabinets underneath. That would be more for long-term kinds of storage for underneath the banquette seat. This piece here, it's on legs. It looks like a piece of furniture in the same maple as the rest of the kitchen. But part of that is for storage that's used outside on the deck for grilling.
Oh, wow.
And then part of it is used for food storage, so pantry storage.
Now, did you have one more project? Or is that
I
number
do.
three? You do. Yeah, all right. Your
Yes.
house, of course.
Actually, this is
Oh, no,
a
this is
house.
of course.
It's not, this is not mine, similar to mine, down the street from mine.
Okay.
But this is a really fun project. This was definitely, there were no walls to move down because it's such a small one-room condo, or it's a cottage, I'm sorry, it's a single family
Tiny
cottage.
little
in
P-town cottage.
Yes. And we weren't able to make more space in the kitchen because if you look at the floor plan, so this is the existing floor plan, this whole thing. You enter here, this is where you would enter at the front door, and you were greeted by the refrigerator. And this is the living and dining space, the bathroom, and one bedroom. This is it. Fortunately, it had a very high ceiling, so it had a lot of light, just an incredibly inefficient kitchen.
So we keep the footprint, but you rework where appliances are and give them some really smart, fun little storage and usage.
Right. The first thing we did is we moved the refrigerator to here, to the back of the L.
Right. And
So
got a
here
better
you-
looking one.
So you can see when you're sitting in the sitting area, which is also very small, but enough for them. You look at this profile of the refrigerator. So we moved the refrigerator to the
And so
short
you
L.
get this
wall.
wonderful sort of free, smooth flow right into there instead of sort of knocking up
Exactly.
against that bulky fridge.
Yeah, you can see this is the entry door. So now you enter this beautiful, this is a pale gray painted cabinet. We did white up here. So, and the white oak butcher block countertop, very warm materials, kind of Cape Cod-like, really welcoming, I think.
And I think we have a picture of the dish drain above the sink.
Right. Yeah, one of the things I like to do, because we were able to add a decent run of cabinets, but how many times, you see this beautiful kitchen, or, as much as we would like to say, no, we use the dishwasher, everything goes in the dishwasher. So many of us have that dish drainer next to the sink, but obviously that takes up real estate. So one of the things I did by the sink, above the sink, we did a maple box with this little dish drainer. And so the water collects here, and you can take the water out so it's not dripping. If you're cleaning vegetables or something or prepping at the sink, you can empty the water from it.
And now
So
let's
that's
see
where
what you did. Go ahead. I was gonna say, let's see what you did with the table.
Okay, yeah, that was, so, for the few days a year, a few days in the summer when they want to entertain friends and family, there's not a ton of space here. So, this is their seating area, their living room, their living space. Most days it's fine to have a table for two if they're working at home, or just for the two of them. But on those times when they want to have friends over, we actually did a telescoping extension for the table. So we put wheels on the bottom here. So when they want to add the leaves of the table, they can pull that out. And it's kind of, if you go back to the plan, you can see how it telescopes. So you can see this is actually the table for two. You can see all the telescoping hardware is below there. And then when they want to add the extensions, they pull it out. Not a lot of room left, but when they entertain and have friends over, they're sitting at the table.
Right. No, I just love these little ingenious fixes that you come up with.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think it's time to move to the Q&A portion of our program. Risa and Kristin, would be awesome if you could join us as well. And I noticed we have a lot of questions already that we were able to preview, and other people are sending more. And I just people want to know how much the things cost, and it's something, how much the projects cost. And it's something that people comment on the website, on the Globe site with the stories too. But I just want to say that we don't publish that. We don't get those prices. It seems a little bit invasive to the clients who are already sharing their home with us so graciously. So we don't have the prices. But let's answer some other questions. Kristin, I'll let you start because you actually prepared something for Thomas, who says wants some help renovating his space to increase efficiency, and sent us a picture. So if you want to show us that, or who can show us that?
Yeah. Yeah, this was great. He was able to send in the photo, so I took a look at it to see where he could maybe increase the functionality of this kitchen. So if you can see in the photo that he has a sort of a typical L-shaped countertop plan, but there's also this, sorry, I'm going to try to annotate here. This peninsula that's sort of floating out here on the opposite wall. So I think the first thing that I would look at doing is creating a U-shape plan for this kitchen so that you can provide prep space, that new countertop that's directly opposite the range top and has access to the sink. And then I wanted to look at potentially increasing their cabinet and storage space with full height floor to ceiling cabinets on this sidewall that gets freed up once that peninsula is removed. So I went ahead and did a little overlay, if you want to go to the next slide to look at that, just to sort of envision what that might look like, and some of the benefits of this plan I can talk through. So again, having that peninsula in this location means that you could have somebody working on prep here, somebody working at the cooktop here, both have access to the sink. And then I would put the refrigerator in this tall bank of cabinets here, so both also have access to the refrigerator too.
Right, now everybody is using that wall of cabinetry, sort of I don't want to say a trend, but I mean, it just makes total sense that that's how designers have been using. And then you can insert, your fridge or not. Pantry space, it takes up the whole wall. You can even do your wall oven. So that's a really smart use of space just by flipping that peninsula.
Yeah, and if you do put the wall ovens in this tall bank of cabinetry, then you can go with a cooktop instead of the range, with more storage below that cooktop. So you can have the drawers that hold the pots and pans and the lids that are very close and accessible for that cooktop. One of the other benefits of this layout is, in the previous layout, the refrigerator was sort of at the back corner of that kitchen, meaning that anyone going to the refrigerator, which gets a lot of traffic in everyone's kitchen, would have to pass through sort of the work zone of the kitchen. In this plan, the refrigerator is still accessible without having to sort of cross through that work zone.
Right. We talked a lot about work zones a few months ago. We did a lot of sort of define your areas that make sense without getting tangled up in each other. Thank you. That was really
Thank you.
Risa, we had a question about designing your kitchen in stages. I mean, a lot of these are sort of gut the entire thing because that makes the most sense. But what if someone can't?
Yeah, so if it really depends on what you're doing to the kitchen, is whether it makes sense to phase it or not. So like you said, a major remodel, very difficult to phase, but if it's a facelift, the layout's not changing, it is possible. It really is dependent on what's happening in the kitchen, but some of the things that can be deferred are decorative backsplashes, upper cabinets, some of the appliances, the paint, lighting. Those can happen independently. Putting an island in, sometimes that can also be something that comes in later. You can plan for it and then install it when you're ready. It's really important to discuss it with your design professional and your contractor before the project starts to see what makes the most sense for your situation. But there are ways to phase it if you can't.
And actually, somebody asked about that, and either you can address it. I know Kristin would actually prepared an answer as well. Like, how do they know if they have room for an island? Everybody wants an island, but how does one know?
Kristin, do you want to take that one?
Oh, sure, okay. I can jump in.
Sure.
So I do have some sort of dimensions that I can share with the group, and they can go and sort of offset those dimensions from their existing countertops to see what's left over and see if it makes sense that they can add an island there. So typically what I hold is sort of my magic number dimension for work aisles, which means the space between the island and any countertop that has either the sink, the dishwasher, the range, or the refrigerator. I hold a minimum of 40 inches, which is a good dimension for 2 people to work in that space. It also provides enough space to walk around the range or the dishwasher when the door is open. For other aisles between the island and maybe a wall that are more sort of pass-through spaces, I hold a minimum of about 36 inches. So when you offset those dimensions from your kitchen countertops and you see what you have left over, I would hold at least a minimum of 24 inches for an island in terms of the depth. So that will give you an island where you may not necessarily have seating at that island, depending on how creative you can be with the seating.
I've seen them at the end sometimes.
When sometimes they're at the end.
You can sneak someone there at the end, at least there are 2 of you, and one's drinking wine and one's cooking. Yeah. So you could do that, or but 24 inches is still a very skinny island, but it will give you a worktop that's similar to your countertop space that you have elsewhere in the kitchen.
So I do want to say the island in the last slide in the green and walnut kitchen is 28 inches wide because there was not a lot of circulation space to give to it. So there is a dishwasher, so we needed at least the 24 and the slight overhang, but the seating is at one end where it's open. So it can work, it can be narrow. But
that's why we hire designers and not just a contractor, because you guys just have the best ideas. And Diane, somebody has instead of, because we're basically running out of time here, but somebody wants to know where to get that dish drain that you showed in P-Town.
Actually, I ordered it from Amazon, and it was from Finland. Apparently they're popular in Finland, and the Scandinavian countries often have the dish drainer above the sink. I ordered a couple extra, but unfortunately I'm not able to find it now. I don't know if it's because of COVID or not. So yeah. I did find it on, they're popular in the Scandinavian countries. So if you have a source there, and
We have 1 minute, and can you tell us in 1 minute the pros and cons of the induction range? Other than obviously we should all be using them because environmentally they make a huge difference. Gas makes a big negative impact, but that aside, induction.
I love induction, especially in a smaller kitchen space, because it doesn't generate the heat that a gas would. You don't need quite the ventilation if that's an issue, especially in some of these condos that I've worked in. And Anything that removes the open flame, especially in a small kitchen, I'm all for. They're nice because they shut off automatically if you're not using it. The cooktop itself doesn't generate a lot of heat. And so especially in these smaller spaces, if you don't have a lot of flexibility, I think they're a great option.
Right. And I mean, I've been seeing a lot more. I just spoke with a designer in Melbourne last week, and she said that in Australia, they always use induction now, not just because of the better impact on the environment, but because she's a very contemporary designer, and they literally just disappear into
exactly. So much easier to clean too.
Right. And that too. Well, thank you guys. I would say for coming out on a snowy day, but obviously none of us are out. So thank you, Kristin. Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Risa.
Thank you.
And thank you, KitchenAid, for sponsoring this event and all our other fun kitchen events. And KitchenAid products are at independent resellers, and they also have a great finder online where you can find your local independent retailers for their products. So let's wrap it. Let's say goodbye, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.